we need a way. Okay, we're going to click send, right? Let me remove this console log. I need to grab the content from this and put in that container, which the container is basically the messages. So I need to find a way to message push, right? The new message, which will come from somewhere, this input. But how can we access that? Well, in the world of vanilla JavaScript, you can do like query selector or document get element ID, this element here, and then grab the dot value. In React world, we should not do that. Don't do that. Don't use query selector because you're bypassing React. So React won't know what's going on and won't be able to react to changes accordingly to re-render. So we want to avoid that. Instead, what we want to do is control this component with React. So we're going to control the input. Now to control it, you need to set the state with the value for the input, the text that will be typed, as well as a function that will be called every time you type so that that state value is changed on every typing. So we're going to go here to the input line 30. We're going to add a value attribute or prop. And that has to be a state variable. Let's call it new message to differentiate from the other one. Now we need to define this inside the state. So we're going to go up here, line 5, I'm going to break a line. Let's use the same method, react.useState. Now I need an initial value. Usually it's empty string for inputs, right? We don't want anything to show initially. And then this is going to return a what we call tuple, right? A 2-element array. So we can destructure, that is, extract the first, second element. We can use the syntax with the square brackets const. Let's say new message here, comma, set new message, which is the function to set that. Now, if you do that, by the way, some people like to use state without saying React dot, but how can we do that? Well, you have to go in the import line 2 and use the named import export here, useState. If you want to use it like this. I don't like doing that, especially for beginners, because people don't know where things are coming from. If I look just at this line, I might be in the code somewhere, and you're a beginner, you don't understand where things coming from. So I prefer to explicitly say it's coming from React. Okay, now if you notice here, if I try to type anything, nothing happens because there's no function handling this. The value is forever stuck to the initial value here. So if I put hello for the initial value, it's going to appear hello here because new message is being associated as the value for the input. It's forever stuck that way and cannot type it unless we add an onChange. So let's add an onChange prop to the input. And it has to be a function that will handle the changing of the text. So let's say on new message change. Now we have to define this function here. Up here, I'm going to say function on new message change with the event as the argument. And then what's going to happen? Let me console log for you so you can see how we can extract the value there. So I put a console log of the event value here. And we're going to try to type something as I open the DevTools with F12. And let me clear this. I'm going to type A. You see something triggered there because this function was called when I type A. Now let's see what's inside the event object. There's a lot of stuff, but what I care, do you see this target? If I open target, I'm going to eventually get some property that's called a value. There's so many properties, it's kind of tedious to go through, but you can see the value here. Hello. That's what we want. So if we go to event.target.value, that's how we get what the user typed. So event.target.value. Now we need to assign that to the new message because we need to change this new message here. So we call new set new message with the event target.value as the argument here. Now when I type, voila, it's now changing. Because when I type one letter, every letter I type calls this function. It takes whatever I had typed and sets the value of new message to that so that it re-renders, right? Because the state was changed. React will re-render the component, and what you see here is what you typed. So if I type X, calls this function, set new message with the X there, and then re-renders. And then the moment we re-render the input, the value will be with the X here. So you're going to see here, imagine it substituted the value of the X at the end here. So that's why we see it. Okay. Now I revert that. That's cool. But now let's handle the send. So on send click, remember, it's called when I click send. Now I need to push to message here, but I cannot do it this way. Okay, I have to do set the React way, which is you have to call the function to change the messages, which is set messages. So here I have to say set messages with the new value for messages. Remember, message is an array. So if I say just a new message, remember, if I want to access what they use, what you typed, you just call, I just use new message now because we have that in the state. Now this is not going to work because this is going to set the whole message state to be just one string. So that's not good. That's going to crash the thing. See, when they say message.map is not a function because message is now a string, single string. We want to be an array. So you want to keep that an array, okay? Wait for the brackets. Now, if I do it like this, it's no good because it's going to wipe out everything. Everything's gone. You only have the new message. So you need to copy the existing messages and add to the end the new one. So there are different ways to do that. One way is using the ... That means, okay, I'm going to take whatever elements were in messages, ... messages, comma, add to the end the new message. Okay, the ... means, okay, take every element of messages and inject into this new array. And then comma, add this new element to the end. Now, when I do that, click send, it's added to the end here. And I keep going, hello world.